Once upon a time, in a land where misty jungles touched the clouds and rivers flowed like silver ribbons, lived a boy named Kai. Kai wasn't the biggest or the strongest in his village, but his heart was filled with a courage that burned brighter than any fire. He was known as the brave little hunter, not because he hunted the largest beasts, but because he understood the forest's secrets better than anyone else. He could read the stories written in the bent blades of grass and hear the whispers carried on the wind. His village, nestled at the foot of the great whispering mountains, was a peaceful place. The people lived in harmony with nature, their days filled with farming, crafting, and storytelling. But lately, a shadow had fallen over their home. A creature of myth, a giant gorilla named Koko, had awakened from a long slumber deep within the mountains. Koko wasn't just big. He was a titan, a walking mountain of fur and muscle, with eyes that held the wisdom of ages and a roar that could shake the very leaves from the trees. Fear, like a creeping vine, began to twist around the hearts of the villagers. Koko's roars echoed through the valleys, and his giant footprints, each the size of a small hut, appeared closer and closer to their fields. Crops were found trampled, and the jungle, once a place of comfort and sustenance, became a source of anxiety. The village elders spoke in hushed tones, recalling ancient legends of Koko's immense power. They believed the gorilla was a spirit of vengeance, angered by their presence. The bravest warriors of the village sharpened their spears, their faces grim, preparing for a battle they feared they could not win. But Kai saw things differently. He had spent his life listening to the jungle, and he didn't hear anger in Koko's roars. He heard something else. A deep, rumbling sadness, a pain that resonated with the earth itself. While others prepared for war, Kai prepared for a journey. He believed that understanding, not violence, was the key. He packed a small bag with ripe bananas, sweet berries, and a special flute carved from river reed, its music said to soothe even the wildest of hearts. He told his worried parents, "I am not going to fight a monster. I am going to find a friend." With a determined heart, Kai stepped into the dense green embrace of the jungle. The path to Koko's lair was treacherous. Thorny vines snagged at his clothes and unseen creatures rustled in the undergrowth, but Kai was not afraid. He moved with a quiet confidence, his senses alive to the world around him. He followed the giant footprints, a trail of broken branches and flattened earth, leading him deeper and higher into the whispering mountains. After 3 days of climbing, Kai reached a massive cave hidden behind a waterfall, its entrance shrouded in mist. The air was thick with a powerful musky scent. This was it. Koko's home. Taking a deep breath, Kai stepped through the cascading water. Inside, the cave was vast, like a cathedral carved by nature. And there, in the dim light, sat the giant gorilla. Koko was magnificent and terrifying. His fur was the color of charcoal, and his sheer size was overwhelming. But Kai noticed something else. A massive thorny vine was wrapped tightly around Koko's huge leg, its spikes digging deep into his flesh, causing a raw, angry wound. Koko saw the small boy and let out a deafening roar, a blast of sound that made the very rock tremble. He beat his chest in a show of power, a warning to the intruder. Any other person would have fled in terror, but Kai stood his ground. He looked past the display of might and saw the pain in Koko's eyes. He didn't raise a weapon. Instead, he slowly sat down on the cave floor, a safe distance away, and took out his small bag. He laid out the bananas and berries, a simple offering of peace. Then he raised the reed flute to his lips. He didn't play a song of heroes or battles. He played a soft, gentle melody, the tune of a lullaby his mother used to sing to him. The music was like a gentle stream flowing through the cavern, weaving a spell of calm. Koko's roaring softened to a low grumble. He stopped beating his chest and tilted his massive head, his intelligent eyes watching the small boy with curiosity. The music spoke a language older than words, a language of empathy and peace. Seeing that the gorilla was calmer, Kai slowly, carefully began to inch forward. He kept playing the flute, his eyes never leaving Koko's. He moved without sudden gestures, his every action conveying that he meant no harm. When he was close enough, he pointed to the wounded leg. Koko flinched, letting out a pained grunt. Kai stopped moving and simply looked at the wound, then back at Koko, his expression full of sympathy. Slowly, Coco seemed to understand. He shifted his weight ever so slightly, extending his injured leg a little. It was an act of incredible trust. Kai put down his flute and approached the giant limb. The thorns were thick and deeply embedded. With careful, gentle hands, Kai began to work on the vine. It was a slow and difficult process. Each time a thorn was pulled, Coco would wince and rumble, but he remained still, sensing the boy's intention was to help. Kai worked patiently, talking to the gorilla in a soft, soothing voice, telling him stories of his village and the sunny fields below. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the last thorn was removed. The thorny vine lay discarded on the cave floor. Coco let out a long, deep sigh, not of anger, but of relief. He carefully flexed his leg, the pain now a dull ache instead of a sharp sting. He looked at Kai, his ancient eyes no longer filled with fury, but with something akin to gratitude. He reached out a giant finger as thick as Kai's arm and gently touched the boy's head. It was a tender, surprisingly delicate gesture. From that day on, an unlikely friendship blossomed. Kai visited Coco often, bringing him fruit and playing his flute. Coco in turn would listen, his deep rumbles now sounding more like a contented purr. He showed Kai secret paths through the mountains and hidden groves where the sweetest fruits grew. The roars that once terrified the village ceased. The ground no longer trembled with Coco's angry stomps. When Kai finally returned to his village, he wasn't alone. Walking peacefully behind him was Coco, the giant gorilla. The villagers gasped, warriors reaching for their spears. But Kai held up a hand. "He is not our enemy," he declared. "He is our friend." Coco sat gently at the edge of the village, his presence immense but calm. He showed them his healed leg, and the villagers understood. They saw not a monster, but a magnificent creature who had been in pain. The fear in the village was replaced by wonder and respect. Coco became the village's guardian. His presence kept away predators, and he would often help the villagers by clearing fallen trees from paths with a single push. The children would come to the edge of the forest to see him, and Kai would play his flute while Coco listened contentedly. The brave little hunter had not defeated a monster. He had healed a friend, and in doing so had saved his entire village. He taught them the most important lesson of all, that true courage isn't about the strength to fight, but the heart to understand and the bravery to show kindness. And so, the legend of Kai and Coco became the village's favorite story, a tale of how a little boy and a giant gorilla proved that compassion is the mightiest force in the world. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more adventures. See you next time.